Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shira De Jaya Koranitai Mayapur Sakti Jaya Koranitai Jaya Mayapur Sakti Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadramai Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shirade Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nidai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, devotees. So,
Krishna Prabhu.
Krishna, so welcome again. We'll continue our discussion. Let me share my screen where we were on Canto Bhagavatam 10th chapter. Okay. Yeah, hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Yeah. So yesterday we will discuss till I think verse number 5. No, verse number 6. Right. So till now we have seen how this Nalko and Manigriva, they were enjoying by drinking wine and with the woman, and when Narad Muni came there by chance, the girls they covered themselves, their body with the garments. However, these Kuber's sons they did not care about, and they remained naked. So that's what now we have discussed yesterday. So let's go from text 7. तौ दृष्ट्वा मदिरे मत्तौ श्रीमदनाथौ सुरात्मजौ तयोरनुग्रहार्थाय शापं दास्यन् इदं जगौ. Yes, Krishna Prabhu, can you please lead?
Hare Krishna. Seeing the two sons of demigods naked and intoxicated by opulence and false prestige, Narada, in order to show them special mercy, desired to give them a special curse. Thus he spoke as follows. Hare Krishna.
So yesterday we discussed about the special mercy of the devotees. Even in the curse, we will see it. Even in the curse, there is a mercy there from the devotees. So just to shower mercy to Nalku and Manigriva, Narada Muni, he cursed them. That is basically not just curse; it's basically special curse. Special curse just to deliver Nalku and Manigriva. Let's see the purport. Although in the beginning Narada Muni appeared very angry and cursed them, at the end the two demigods Nalkuvira and Manigriva were able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna face to face. Thus, the curse was ultimately auspicious and brilliant. Right? One has to judge what kind of curse Narada placed upon them. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti gives here in a good example. When a father finds his child deeply asleep, but the child has to take some medicine to cure some disease, the father pinches the child so that the child will get up and take medicine. In a similar way, Narada Muni cursed Nalaku and Manigriva in order to cure their disease of material blindness. I think, have you ever experienced these things, what we read here? Like when a father finds his child very deeply asleep, but the child has to take some medicines to cure some disease, the father pinches the child so that the child gets up and takes some medicines. I definitely remember, I'm not sure very much about the medicine, but certainly, when I was a child, when I used to get asleep, my father used to, make me wake up and to have my dinner. My father used to say that, you should not sleep empty, hungry like that. Well, the point is, he says, Narada Muni is giving a pinch, right, pinch to the child, to the Nalku and Manigriva, so to cure their disease of material blindness, because they were being blind, because they have ignored, even they have seen Narada Muni, but still they didn't pay respect to him, and they still were naked before Narada Muni. Right. That because of it says, Madira Matto, because of this, intoxicated drinking liquor. Right. So as they were so much intoxicated, so Narad Muni wanted to give them blessings. Let's see what he says. Shri Narada Uvacha Nahyanyo Jushato Josyan Buddhi Brahmso Rajoguna Srimadad Abhijataya Yadhir Yatra Stridyutam Ashva. Yes, Tyal Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Narada Muni said, among all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features. Taking birth in an aristocratic family and being learned, when one is uneducated but falsely puffed up by the wealth, the result is that one engages his wealth in enjoying wine, women, and gambling. Hare Krishna.
Very important. Like, when one is uneducated but falsely puffed up by the wealth, the result is one engages his wealth in enjoying in sense gratification. Right. So, the person needs to know from where the wealth is coming and how to utilize the wealth. Sometimes, once one person came to Prabhupada and says, Prabhupada, he wanted to give some money, and Prabhupada, he says, you are a sadhu and you do not need any money. Prabhupada says, no, we need money because we know how to use the money. Right? We don't need money for our own self, but we need the money for serving the society by making temples, by feeding them Krishna Prasadam. So you can use those money in a very right way, where how Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita as well. Right. So that's why when someone has so much of wealth, and when he is uneducated or he has falsely popped up, he uses his wealth in different sense gratification. Right. So Narada Muni is saying here that among all the attraction of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one intelligence more. So it means what? If someone has so much of riches, so much of money, that makes him more bewildered, right? More than having beautiful bodily features. So I mean, there are a couple of things described here. One is more riches, one is beautiful bodily features, and taking birth in an aristocratic family or being learned. Four things, right? Money, beauty, aristocratic birth, and learned. And from all of this, the attraction of riches bewilders one intelligence more than others. Even others do something other. If someone is very learned, he thinks himself very proud. If someone is taking birth in an aristocratic family, he thinks of proud. However, the more is happens on when someone's has so much of riches, and more importantly, if he is not educated about how to use this money and where to use this money, because people say that, okay, I have a lot of money, what to do now? So they start spending in so many different kind of sense gratification. Prabhupada says in purport that among the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, people are certainly conducted by the lower qualities, namely passion and ignorance, and especially by passion. Conducted by the mode of passion, one becomes more and more involved in material existence. Therefore, human life is meant for subduing the modes of passion and ignorance and advancing in the mode of goodness. So these three modes are always present in every living being, all the time. It depends upon how we act, how kind of how much we prefer to do what things, and depending upon that, this one of those get prominent at one point of time. Like examples given, like uh, our mental thoughts in the morning, it's a quiet, very quiet, it's mode of goodness. But as the day starts, from 10 till 5, people go for work and everything is goes on more passionate. I need to earn money and things that goes on, and the night comes up, they comes back home and ignorance, just have some tea, coffee, and watch movie, TV, television, like that, dull and things like that. Right. So depending upon the time, the mode get prominent in the morning. Mode of goodness is more prominent. In the middle of the day, passion is more prominent, and then in the night, more is ignorance. Right? And there are so many examples being given. If you see the chapter number 14 and chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita, describe all these qualities depending upon all the activities and all the qualities depending upon these three modes of us. Right. So then it continues from Bhagavatam. Tada rajas tamo bhavat kama lobha bhayascha ye cheta etar anuvedam sthitam sattve prasiddhati. This Bhagavatam 1 to 19. This is culture. One must subdue the modes of passion and ignorance. In the mode of passion, when one is falsely proud of wealth, one engages his wealth only for three things, namely wine, women, and gambling. So we can actually see, especially in this age, that those who have unnecessary riches simply try to enjoy these three things. In the Western civilization, these three things are very, very prominent. Because of the unnecessarily increase of wealth, Narada Muni considered all this in the case of Manigriva Nalakuver, because he found in them so much pride in the wealth of their father Kubera. So sometimes, if you see, sometimes what happens is, the father, if Kubera anyway is a different case for Lord Kubera. But again, in general society, if you see, sometimes fathers, he struggles a lot to earn money, and he has a lot of money, and he might not be more proud, but the children's, they become more proud of the wealth of their father. In the similar way, Nalikuver and Manigriva, they became more proud, or has much pride in the wealth of their father. Right. I remember, it is not a context in what we're discussing here, but I still remember one line. I think I was in standard kind of 7 or 8 at the time, and I used to be in my boarding school. And one day it was a vacation, and I was coming home, and I was waiting in a bus stop to catch a bus to my home. It's nearly around, it was something near around 3.5 hour bus drive to reach my home from my boarding school. And then as I was in boarding school, so I just went out, and then I was waiting for the bus. By the time I started eating, in India we call as pani puri, is a kind of puffed puris, and with them you pour some liquid, it's a maybe sour or sweet, and then you eat it like that. And I was standing there, and I was eating my pani puri, and at the time, what happened is, one person, the local person, he came to this the panipuri vendor. He says, why are you standing here and selling panipuris? You could go to the society. There's richest people are living there, and then you can sell your panipuri in a more costlier way, or you can sell it very quickly rather than standing here more. And after some time, I was just listening those conversation, and I don't know, but I'd never forget that line. Still I remember, it's completely fresh. That pani puri vendor, very poor, it's not earning very much, it's kind of not even middle class. So he told one thing that I never ever forget that line. He says that, oh, yeah, you are saying a very nice thought that, if I go there I can earn more. But he says that I don't want to earn so much that my kids don't value the price of money. They should know what money is and how money can be earned and how difficult it is to earn money. So he said, I'm very much happy by the amount I am earning here, and in this way, my children, they are going to school, they are eating some food, and they are having the clothes. That's all I wanted. I don't want anything extra from that. I mean, now when I come to Krishna consciousness, I could understand that what and a very very positive thoughts the person had, though he was just kind of a kind of middle class, not middle class itself. He's just selling this pani puri on a bus stop, and he has a thought that I'm just earning that much. By that, I can take my family running nicely. I don't want much more than that. My family, their children are going to school, they are having some clothes, and they are having food. That's all. Nothing more I needed. Can you imagine it? That's a nice thing. And but in this today's world, we are just trying to accommodate more and more and more and more. As much as it comes, let it be, isn't it? So that's how the wealth is. If we don't have the proper knowledge and how to use those, then eventually more riches the people will be using on these things. And it's very true. We can see these things. We can see in what's happening in the Kali Yuga. People are using this money on gambling, and illicit connections, the wine and all these things. See you on Friday evening, Saturday evening, go to all the streets, all the pubs are full like anything. Like
Prabhu, may I share a story that my father told me today?
yes, please.
I liked your analogy of the man at the bus stop selling puris. There was honour in his work. He wanted his children to see honour in his work and no money. So the value was in his work. My father told me a story today about a woman who was 16 and won the lottery. And today she is penniless. She has lips done, eyes done, bodily work done, and she's only 21 and penniless.
Oh wow.
I know. For me, that is vulgar. Like vulgar. There's a vulgarity in that, and because she was so young.
So that's where someone is to know how to use the money, isn't it? How to handle
Yeah.
the money. Otherwise, it can ruin anything. And it's
Yes.
also been, it's Prabhupada says it's in Krishna's hand. you know he can make you king anytime, and he can make you beggar at the other second. No, so if you don't handle these things, it happens. And there are so many examples in this material world. We can see that how the money has ruined the relationship, the personality, and everything at all. It's the very very fact, and I think we are all knew it. We don't have to explain everything, isn't it? That's why Prabhupada says here we can actually see this, especially in this Kali Yuga. It's happening, right? And that's how this Nalakur and Manigiri were so much engaged in intoxication and with playing with the girls. And that's how Narada Muni wanted to shower them nice blessings by giving them curse, right? Let's see what he says next. Text 9. हन्यते पशवो यत्र निर्दयेर आजितामभि मन्यामानिरिदं देहम् अजरामृत्युसु नाश्वरम्. Yes, Mataji, can you please read translation? Jen Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Unable to control their senses, rascals who are falsely proud of their riches or their birth.
Whether we lost you, I think you got muted.
Yes, sorry. Aristocratic families are so cruel that to maintain their perishable bodies with which they think will never grow old or die, they kill poor animals without mercy. Sometimes they kill animals merely to enjoy an excursion. Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
No problem. So controlling of senses is very, very important in this Kali Yuga. And that's, it's very straightforward what's being spoken in this verse itself, let's see the purport. When the modes of passion and ignorance increase in human society, giving rise to unnecessary economic development, the result is that people become involved with wine, women, and gambling. Then, being mad, they maintain big slaughterhouses or occasionally go on pleasure excursions to kill animals, forgetting that however one may try to maintain the body is subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. Such foolish rascals engage in sinful activities, one after another. Being Duskritis, they completely forget the existence of Supreme Controller, who is sitting within the core of everyone's heart. Iswara Sarva Bhutanam Hriday Arjuna Tisthati. That Supreme Controller is observing every bit of one's activity, and he rewards or punishes everyone by giving one a suitable body made by material nature. Brahmanam Sarabhutani Yantrarodhani Mayaya. In this way, sinful person automatically receives punishment in different types of body. The root cause of this punishment is that when one necessarily accumulate wealth, one become more and more degraded, not knowing that his wealth will be finished with this next life. So as soon as we take next life, what will have accumulated, it's everything finished. Our relationship, our money, and whatnot. As being the Shastra describe that when someone dies, what happens? It says nicely. Let's print the purport, and then maybe we can come back over there. It says, "Na sadhu manya yata atmanoyam ashan api kleshada asadeha." Animal killing is prohibited. Every living being, of course, has to eat something. Jiva jivasya jivanam. But one should be taught what kind of food one should take. Therefore, the Ishopanishad instructs, Tene Tvaktena Bhunjita. If you remember, we're discussing the first verse is the first verse we discussed on Wednesday. Like how much we need to, our quota, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
course.
So, one should eat whatever is allocated for human being. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Puspam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktaya Prashyati Tad Aham Bhakti Uparatam Asnami Pratatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruits, and water, I accept it. I will accept it. A devotee, therefore, does not eat anything that would require slaughterhouses for poor animals. Rather, devotees take prasad of Krishna, tene taktena bhunjita. Krishna recommends that one give him patram puspam phalam toyam, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water. Animal food is never recommended for human beings. Instead, a human being is recommended to take prasad, remnants of the food left by Krishna. Yagya sister Srinivasanta Muchyanta Sarva Kilvesha. I think we discussed this verse on some other day. If one practices eating prasada, even if there is some little sinful activities involved, one becomes free from the results of sinful acts. So on prasada, mostly the restaurant by, if you see nearby our ISKCON temple, it's called as Govinda. And the Govinda, is very famous in London as well, the Govinda.
Okay.
Yeah, so temples. it's been described that on the net, no, it's a sanctified karma-free food.
Joy.
So it's a food. Then after before it says karma-free, it's made it this food doesn't have any more karma, and then it's sanctified. So it's being tested by Lord Krishna, and then as it's become a remnant of Krishna, and it's completely sanctified by Lord Krishna, and we take it. So what happens is by eating that, the sinful what we have, that becomes free from the results of sinful acts by eating Krishna prasadam, right? So and the point is, Prabhupada says here that Krishna just need very little, a leaf, flower, fruit, and water. So it's very, very easily available, and we can offer it, and Krishna is pleased, right? And before that, we are discussing about the other point.
Paleshwar Raman Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, it also, in this purport, also Prabhupada is answering your question from yesterday, right? Because you were asking, what is our quota? It connects with Sri Upanishad, Tenatyakena Vunjita, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I was coming to this point, like that what happens in the next birth. It being said that the wealth what we have accumulated, and when someone gives us his wealth, the wealth remains as it is there. Right? Earlier in the previous yugas, the wealth were used to be there, how many cows and bulls they have, isn't it? Not the cash and things in the bank balances. That's what the wealth in the previous years, previous yugas. So so it's been described that the cows and the bulls, whatever they have, they remain all there in a wherever they used to be, and people generally used to keep some money in the ground, and then it's been discussed that the money whatever they have, that remains underground itself. No one knows where it is, kind of, right, under the earth. It doesn't move basically. And then this talks about the very close of someone is the wife. So what happens to the wife is the wife, she she remains inside the house itself. So what in general practice what happens is when the person dies, uh, the wife or the ladies, they don't go to cremation ground. It's just the relatives, they take their body, right? So the wealth remains inside inside where it is, where it was, or maybe a bank, you can say in today's world it's in the bank, that's all. And the wife, it remains uh, inside the house, it doesn't cross the house. uh, and then the relatives, they go until the cremation ground, no going ahead from there. And the body that got burned after that, so nothing goes with us. So even the body which we are trying to care a lot, that also remains here itself. The only thing goes higher is the consciousness, what we remain, or what we perceive, and how in the way we live in this life, that goes ahead, nothing else, right? So these are four things very important: our body, our wealth, our relationship, and relatives. So they all remain there. The wealth remain where it is. The especially when it talks about wife, because then the she remains in the house itself, and the relatives, they go toward till cremation ground, and the body is burned there itself. And the only consciousness what we have, that goes and takes the next birth, depending upon how we behave, or how we acted, or how we interacted with these three modes in this life, right? Okay. So let's take the next one. Text 10. देव संजिताम अपि अप्यन्ते कृत्मि विद्भस्म संजिता संजितं भूतदृक्तत्कृते सर्वार्थं किं वेद निरयो यता. Advait Krishna Prabhu, can you please read translation?
While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth, for such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions.
Yeah, so the point is this been described here. These are basically philosophical stuffs, but the because Narada Muni saw that this Nalku and Manigriva, they are engaged in all sinful activities, he wanted to teach them lessons, and in the same time, uh, Sukadeva Goswami putting some more information to us that how shall we behave in this our life and how shall we interact with the three modes. So it says that it doesn't matter if oneself a very big person or minister or president or even demigod, but whatever one may be, after death this body will turn in either into worms, stool, or ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of his body, one does not know that he will suffer in the next birth as well. And I mean, we are reading Bhagavatam and we are in Canto 3 now. When we go to Canto 5, we'll see all those things, what kind of sins we do and what kind of reactions we get actually. Right. So, and then there is no excuse, there is no way we can escape these things. In this material world, if you want to do some sinful activity and you might escape, like no, if you want to steal something, you got to steal something and you might escape from police. And if you're driving fast, you might escape from the camera, or sometimes there is no camera or no camera working, but you can't escape from the from your own self. You know very well what we have done, and the Shastra explains that in the in the in a tree there's a branch, and in the branch there are two birds sitting. One bird is eating the fruits of his past karma, means enjoying or suffering and also acting, and the other bird sitting beside him, he is just watching the other one. So two birds, one bird is eating or engaged himself in his activities, and the other bird is just watching, keeping a track what you are doing, and they are so close that you can't apart them. Never is, there is no possibility of keeping both apart, right? In this today's world, if you see our Google tracks everything, even on a Facebook, people they post I'm here, I'm there. So Facebook and Google, they track almost everything what we do, where we go. Still we can cheat Facebook and Google, but we cannot cheat the super soul which is living within us besides soul. So these are the two birds, one is soul and the second is super soul. So the super soul keeps all the track. I think we just read before this paragraph as well, that they keep track, and depending upon that we get our next destination, the next body, right? Let's see purport. In this word, the three words krimi with vamsha are significant. After death, the body may become krimi, which means worms. For if the body is disposed of without cremation, I mean, see, there are some society where they just throw the body, they don't dispose it. So in that way, it becomes, worms, and it may be eaten by the worms, or else it may be eaten by animals like hogs and vultures and be turned into stools. And those who are more civilized, they burn the dead body, and thus it becomes ashes, bhashma, samjitam. Yet although the body will be turned into worms, stools, or ashes, foolish person, just to maintain it, commit many sinful activities. Right? This is certainly regrettable. The human form of body is actually meant for jivasya tattva jigyasa, enlightenment in the knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, one must seek shelter of one of our spiritual master. Tasmat Guru Prapadyante. Jigyasu Sre Uttamam. This verse, very very nice verse. See, let's read it out. तस्मात् गुरु प्रपद्यते जिज्ञासु श्रेय उत्तमम. सो शब्दे परे ही निष्ठातम ब्रह्मये उपसंश्रयम. He says that therefore any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of bona fide spiritual guru is that he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be a bona fide spiritual master. And Krishna explained the same thing in Bhagavad Gita as well, isn't it? Take shelter of a spiritual master, do service and do inquire from him. Right. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyam Purusho Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Rajaguna or Tamaguna, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal, risking his life, mrityu samsara vartmani, and therefore continuing to go through suffering after suffering. Na te vidhu sarvata gatim hi Vishnum. Bhagavatam again, 7.531. Such a foolish person does not know how to elevate himself in this body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and deeper into hellish life. So there's a bit of philosophical discussion happens here, where Narada Muni and Sukadeva Goswami is explaining about those points and what was the reason why Narada Muni has cursed Nalaku and Manigriva. However, very first time we discussed that Narada Muni has cursed just to elevate them, to teach them, and also it's a special mercy to them, so that they can see the Balya Leela or the Krishna's childhood pastime, right? Okay, we'll take one more verse, and then if there is a question, we can discuss a bit. Text 11. देह किम अन्न धातु स्वानिषेक्तुर्मातुर एव च मातो पितुर्वालिना क्रेतुर्अग्नेः सुनोऽपि वा. Yeah, Bijay Prabhu, can you please read translation? Okay, maybe Rupesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. While alive, does this body belong to its enjoyer, to the self, to the father, to the mother, or the mother's father? Does it belong to the person who takes it away by force, to the slave master who purchases it, or to the sons who burn it in the fire? Or if the body is not burned, does it belong to the dogs that eat it? Among the many possible claimants, who is the rightful claimant? Not to ascertain this, but instead to maintain the body by sinful activities is not good.
Yeah. So it's very straightforward, isn't it? So while alive, does this body belong to his employer or to the self or to the father? We discussed, the body belongs to no one, isn't it? Just the body belongs to the material nature and goes back to material nature. No one can claim that his body is mine. Even the self, the soul, which has taken this body, even he cannot claim this his body is mine. It's as he goes away, the body goes back into the material nature in the Pancha Mahabhut and finishes away. So, and he gets another body after that. So the body cannot be claimed by his employer, neither the self nor the father, the mother, the mother's father. And does it belong to the person who takes it away by the force, to a slave master who purchases it on? It's eventually this body belongs to no one, isn't it? But instead to maintain this body by sinful activity is not good. So what happens is this body belongs to no one, but to maintain this body we perform sinful activities, and because of the sinful activities we suffer again in this cycle of birth and death. It goes on and on and on and on. It never stops until we stop performing sinful activities. So these sinful activities is one of the root cause for for the cycle of birth and death, the ignorance and sinful activities. So in active devotion, Rupa Goswami explains it more elaborately how it happens. There are different stages of sinful activities and their results. Some results we get very soon, and some are fructified, and some are in a very seed state, and they take a bit longer time to get fructified, and then it comes back again, kind of there. So unless and until we clean away the sinful actions and the results, it's very difficult for us to go back to spiritual world. Even Prabhupada says not only spiritual activities, even the pious activities, because if we perform a lot of pious activities, then also we'll have to come back again to enjoy those piety, right? So it's both case. That's why Prabhupada says do bhakti. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains about three terms: karma, akarma, and vikarma. So vikarma is basically sinful activities or something we perform against the scriptures, right? These are vikarma, and when we perform vikarma, we get negative reactions and we suffer that. And then is karma. Karma is in this context you can describe as some good activities, pious activities. So when we perform pious activity, we come back again to enjoy this piety, right? And then Krishna talks about akarma, and akarma sometimes become misunderstood because akarma means negative of karma, not doing karma. It's not that. Krishna explained that perform duty for Krishna. It's not that I won't perform duty, but perform the duty for pleasure of Krishna. So that's akarma, like we discussed now, the prasadam. That is, Krishna prasadam is sanctified karma free food. In a similar way, our activities can be sanctified and karma free. That's akarma. It's not about not doing work, but working for Krishna. And in that context, Krishna explains in the in chapter 5, I think, he says clearly as well, even the people, they cannot live without performing anything. Even for eating, you have to perform your chewing the food. You can't eat without performing the chewing of the food as well. So you have to perform your duty. Even sleeping is also an activity, right? So no one can say I won't perform activity. You have to perform activity. So perform activity for the pleasure of the Lord, and that becomes akarma, and that is where we can nullify bad karma as well as good karma both, right? So on this note, we'll stop today here, and then we'll continue from text 12 on Monday, hopefully. Jai. Anyone have quick questions, comments, or want to share something? Please feel free to.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much, and the devotees for a wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going a bit philosophical. I think there are some more verses. There's a bit more philosophical being talked, and then it's come back again to the pastimes of how Nalakuri and Maniki were being cursed, and they to the birth of a tree, and then how Krishna broke those tree, and then this chapter finishes over there. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we'll stop here.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
everyone. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much, Prabhu.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, आज की जय, अनंत
Jai.
कोटि की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.